I'm in deep trouble. Our real estate agent got me with his charm, and I made a big mistake.
We're all humans, and sometimes we act without thinking, and only after we're done acting do we realize we made a huge mistake and messed up big time. I'm currently caught between crossroads. I don't even know what to do. I cheated on my husband with our real estate agent and even spent the night with him. My husband doesn't know yet, but I don't know what to tell him. I feel very guilty, and I know that the only way I'll be able to alleviate that guilt is by telling my husband the truth. But then again, I know my husband. He is very quick to anger and also vengeful, so I know he might never forgive me for cheating on him. My husband, for all his faults, is also very nice, kind, and a great person. I do not want to lose him, but I'll also never be able to rest unless I reveal the truth. I know you're very curious about what happened, so I'll explain. But first, you need to know where my husband and I are coming from, so you understand why I appreciate him so much. My name is Sarah, and I am a 32-year-old woman. I am married to Timothy, a 33-year-old man. We dated for a year and have been married for 5 years. We have 2 kids, who I'll call Kai and Stormy for the sake of privacy. They're both male and are under the ages of 5. I met my husband Timothy at a friend's party, surrounded by chatter and laughter. Jenny, my friend, was hyping him up like crazy, and when our eyes locked, there was this instant vibe. We started chatting, and it was surprisingly easy. Timothy's smile and interest in what I had to say made it all feel comfortable. We moved away from the crowd to a quieter spot, and our conversation just flowed. Turns out, we had a bunch of things in common. Art, life views, you name it. As we talked about dreams and the unpredictability of life, it felt like the universe was doing some kind of matchmaking. The night unfolded, and it was clear there was something special between us, like we were on the same wavelength. In the midst of a friend's party, surrounded by the chatter and laughter, I met Timothy. Jenny, my friend, was hyping him up like crazy, and when our eyes locked, there was this instant vibe. We started chatting, and it was surprisingly easy. Timothy's smile and interest in what I had to say made it all feel comfortable, and there was an effortless flow to our conversation. We moved away from the crowd to a quieter spot, and our conversation just flowed. Turns out, we had a bunch of things in common: art, life views, you name it. As we talked about dreams and the unpredictability of life, it felt like the universe was doing some kind of matchmaking. The night unfolded, and it was clear there was something special between us, like we were on the same wavelength. In less than a few months of being together, Timothy and I decided to take the plunge and move in with each other. It wasn't a snap decision, but the strong connection and all the good times we shared made it pretty clear. We wanted to build a life together. Our first joint pad was this snug apartment in a friendly complex. Merging our stuff and getting used to each other's routines had its ups and downs, but we always tried finding a middle ground and compromise. That apartment complex was like our little village. We got to know the neighbors, and those weekend BBQs in the shared yard became chances to make friends. We weren't just sharing a roof. We were figuring out our life together as a team lull. Living together wasn't even just about splitting bills and grocery runs. It was about proving our commitment and believing in our shared future. Even the simple stuff, like choosing a paint color for the living room. We started dreaming about having a place that was really ours. The apartment was cool, but we wanted something more permanent. We even made a pact. We were going to save up and buy our own house someday. Turning that dream into reality meant getting serious about our finances. We saved hard, making choices that sometimes meant cutting back, all with the goal of making our dream home a reality. Every dollar saved was a step closer to the place where we could start a family and make lasting memories. Moving in together after less than a year might have raised some eyebrows, but for us it felt right. Though to be honest, moving in together with Timothy brought its own set of real-life challenges. Figuring out how to split the bills was a bit awkward at first, but we had to sit down and work out a system that felt fair for both of us. Budget talks became a thing, and finding the sweet spot took some honest conversation and a bit of give and take. Chores were another hurdle. We quickly realized we had different definitions of clean. Setting up a routine that played to our strengths and made us both feel like we were pulling our weight took some trial and error. There were a few debates about whose turn it was for dishes, but eventually we landed on a system that clicked. Then there was the whole personal space thing. We both needed our alone time, and it took some figuring out to respect each other's need for space while still keeping that sense of togetherness. We had to learn it's okay to do our own thing, even in the same space. After about a year of dating and hanging out with Timothy, it was clear we were more than just a fling. We laughed together, supported each other, and it felt like we were both on the same page about the future. One night, after a chill dinner, Timothy looked at me and said, "Sarah, I can't picture my life without you. What if we make this official?" His words were simple, but they hit me right in the feels. Deciding to tie the knot after a year felt right, like the next step in our story. Luckily, our families got along. Timothy won over my family with his kindness, and his folks welcomed me with open arms. But some people thought we were moving too fast, like we were rushing into things. Despite what others said, we were pretty confident in our decision. Our love was strong, and planning the wedding turned into a team effort. From picking the venue to choosing colors, it was a joint venture that tested our ability to make decisions together. During the planning, though, those concerns from friends and family lingered. Convos over dinner would sometimes take a turn, a gentle reminder to take it slow. Their hearts were in the right place, but we stayed true to our path. After all, we didn't believe in anything being too soon. I knew a lot of people that didn't even date for up to a year before tying the knot, and they were very happy together. I also knew a lot of people that dated for a long time, and then they got married and didn't last, so there was no such thing as too soon. Our wedding turned out to be a real journey, especially because we weren't rolling in dough. Timothy and I wanted a celebration that felt true to us without maxing out our credit cards. It meant facing the reality of our budget from the get-go and getting creative to make it work. First things first, finding a venue that was cute but didn't cost an arm and a leg. We scouted around, went to a bunch of open houses, and haggled for a deal. Finally, we stumbled upon this cozy place with a sweet garden vibe. Not a fancy banquet hall, but it had the charm we wanted and fit our budget. Sorting out the guest list was like walking a tightrope. We wanted to invite everyone, but we had to be realistic. We kept it close to family and friends, trying to keep things intimate. It was tough cutting some folks, but we knew it'd help us focus on what really mattered. Food was another puzzle to solve. We went for tastings, tried to haggle on the menu, and landed on a spread that was tasty but didn't cost an arm and a leg. It was about finding the right balance between quality and keeping our wallets happy. Shopping for our wedding outfits was an adventure too. We skipped the fancy boutiques and looked for affordable options. We even considered secondhand dresses. Eventually, we found outfits that fit our style without wrecking our budget. Decorations were a family affair. We got friends and family to help us make centerpieces and spruce up the place. It was a bit of work, but it added a personal touch and saved us some serious cash compared to hiring pros. Figuring out how to keep things low-key, but not too casual, was a real challenge. We wanted simplicity without making our day feel ordinary. So, we chose to invest in what mattered most to us: a cool venue, good food, and personal touches, while cutting back on things that didn't really matter. Just a year into our marriage, we got hit with some unexpected news. We were going to be parents. It wasn't part of our grand plan, more like a surprise that caught us off guard. Timothy and I were scared at first, not knowing what this sudden twist meant for us. But as it sank in, we decided to roll with it and do our best for our little one. The news came out of the blue, messing with the groove we'd just found as a married couple. Having a baby so soon wasn't in the cards we'd laid out for ourselves. In those early days, fear kicked in. The kind that comes with a ton of questions and worries about what the future would look like with a tiny human in tow. Our fear wasn't because we didn't love each other or weren't committed. It was more about realizing that our lives were about to change big time. Money concerns, the whole responsibility of being parents, and figuring out how to adjust to this new reality were all hanging over us. We were just regular folks facing an extraordinary moment that would shake up our world. But amid the fear, there was a glimmer of hope. We were gonna be parents, bringing a whole new person into our lives. Once the shock settled, we started seeing this surprise as a blessing in disguise. Fear turned into a promise to face whatever was coming and give our soon-to-arrive kiddo the best home possible. The months that followed were a wild ride. from baby classes to setting up a nursery. Each step brought a mix of excitement and nerves. We read books on parenting, asked buddies for tips, and did our best to gear up for the arrival of our little one. The day Kai was born, everything changed. Holding our brand new son, all the worries disappeared, replaced by this crazy love and the weight of being responsible for this tiny human. Kai, with his little hands and curious eyes, became the center of our world. We were officially parents, and even though it wasn't the plan, it felt like destiny had led us to this amazing chapter. Being parents was a lesson in rolling with the punches. Late nights, diaper duty, and singing lullabies became the new normal. As we tackled the challenges of raising a kid, we discovered a whole new level of love and strength we never knew we had. Looking back, that initial fear was just our reaction to the unknown. But it also pushed us to grow, both as individuals and as a couple. We learned to rely on each other, talk about our worries and dreams openly, and celebrate the little victories that come with being parents. Kai's arrival might not have been part of our game plan, but he turned out to be the best surprise ever. His giggles filled our home with happiness, and this journey of parenthood brought Timothy and me even closer. We might not have had it all figured out from the start, but our commitment to doing our best for Kai turned us into parents who embraced the unpredictability of the journey with open arms. Funny how life works. Just 2 years after Kai made his entrance, we found out another tiny human was on the way. This time around, instead of the initial shock, fear settled in again, but it wore a different hat. It wasn't about how to be parents, it was about the cold, hard truth of money. We were barely scraping by as it was, and the thought of adding another little one to the mix brought a whole new set of worries. The news hit us, and the joy of expecting another baby was accompanied by a pang of anxiety. Questions about how we'd afford diapers, doctor visits, and everything in between flooded our minds. We were scared. Scared that our financial boat was too small for another passenger. But just like before, we decided to face it head-on and make the best of the situation. Our jobs were steady, but they weren't exactly funding a life of luxury. Making ends meet was a constant juggling act, and the idea of stretching our budget even thinner with another mouth to feed had us feeling the pressure. We weren't drowning in cash, but we were drowning in determination to give our growing family a good life. Facing the fear of financial strain, we made a pact to find new job opportunities and pick up side hustles. It wasn't about reaching for the stars, it was about putting food on the table and ensuring our kids had what they needed. Late-night job searches, updating resumes, and tapping into our networks became the new normal. The prospect of a second baby brought a renewed sense of hustle. We made a deal to find new job gigs and pick up side hustles. It wasn't about shooting for the stars. It was about making sure our kids had what they needed. Late-night job searches, tweaking resumes, and tapping into our networks became the new normal. The idea of a second baby brought out a fresh dose of hustle. Timothy explored different job options, and I took on freelance gigs in my free time. We tightened our belts, saved every penny, and even thought about cutting back on some non-essentials to get ready for Stormy's arrival. Preparing for baby Stormy was a wake-up call. We faced the challenge with grit, knowing that our family's well-being depended on our ability to adapt and hustle. The fear didn't disappear, but it turned into a push, driving us to make positive changes. In the months before Stormy showed up, we prepped not just for the new family member, but also for the money challenges we knew were coming. It wasn't an easy road, and we had to tighten our belts, but each step showed our commitment to providing a stable and loving home for our growing crew. You know, life's got a knack for throwing curveballs, but every now and then, it surprises you with some unexpected wins. After dealing with the money struggles that came with Stormy's arrival, things took a turn for the better. Timothy scored a better-paying job, and I landed a sweeter job too. It was like hitting the jackpot in terms of our paychecks. Suddenly, the stress of making ends meet became a thing of the past. We were still putting in the hours, but now the hard work was actually paying off, and not just in terms of a fatter wallet. Not satisfied with just our day jobs, we decided to still continue trying our hand at freelancing. Nights and weekends turned into hustle time, taking on extra gigs. Sure, it meant sacrificing some downtime, but the extra cash made it all worthwhile. We weren't just grinding, we were hustling smart, using our skills to boost our financial game. And just when we thought things couldn't get any sweeter, Timothy's parents surprised us with a generous cash gift. It was like winning a financial lottery, giving our savings a serious boost. We had to figure out what to do with this unexpected bonus. Should we invest it, pay off debts, or stash it away for the kids' future? However, Tim and I had always had dreams of having our own place for a long time, especially with the kids getting bigger and our apartment feeling like a sardine can. We had saved up some cash, and with the gift we had gotten from Timothy's parents, owning a house seemed doable. We heard about this real estate guy, Robert, who was the talk of the town for getting folks killer deals. Plus, all the ladies in the neighborhood seemed to have a little crush on him and really liked it. It was pretty amusing. Since Tim's job was a bit of a time sucker, I took charge of connecting with Robert. We set up a meeting to chat about what we wanted and how much we could cough up. I remember feeling so excited and nervous, lol, because we were finally on the path to owning our own home. Robert had this charm that was hard to ignore. As we chatted and checked out potential homes, his smooth talk made the process feel less like a headache. Sure, there was a bit of banter and flirting. I mean, who could resist? But back then, I didn't think too much of it. Robert also had a knack for wheeling, and dealing was impressive, and it added a layer of confidence to our house hunt. The whole experience was like an adventure, exploring different neighborhoods and weighing options. However, that day Robert and I didn't find a home that I liked, and Robert promised me that within a few days, he would reach out to me with the perfect home. And true to his word, Robert reached out a few days later, practically bubbling with excitement about a newfound gem. Without a car of my own, we decided to use Robert's car. However, the car had some issues and we couldn't use it. No worries, we ditched the wheels for public transport. Pulling up to the house, my eyes widened in awe. It wasn't just a house, it felt like a home ready to welcome my family. The space was perfect for the kids to run wild, and the overall vibe oozed warmth. Right then and there, amid the beauty of the property, a surge of certainty hit me. This was it, the place where our family could truly thrive. This was our home. As Robert and I checked out the rooms, our conversation started going beyond the mere physical features of the house. We started swapping personal stories, finding common ground, and started building a connection that went beyond the usual real estate chat. Robert's charm was on full display, and we started having some playful banter and feeling mutual attraction. But then, as luck would have it, the weather decided to play spoilsport. Heavy rain crashed our house hunting party. At first, we thought we could tough it out, wait for the rain to let up, but the universe unfortunately had other plans. The rain intensified, and any hope of reaching Timothy dwindled as our phones lost signal. Stuck in a situation like that, I made a very stupid decision. To be honest, stupid me thought that the rain was the universe telling me to go ahead with whatever Robert wanted. I knew that he wanted something more, and deep down I wanted it too. But now I regret it. Robert and I continued to playfully banter, but we knew that was a front, and before I could even register what was happening, we were on each other, and soon we were intimate. I enjoyed it immensely at first. However, with the first light of dawn breaking through the rain-soaked windows, a heavy realization set in. I had crossed a line, and guilt gripped my conscience. I am currently at home right now, when I got home. I simply told Timothy that the rain hadn't let me leave, and that's why I couldn't come home the night before. I told him I tried calling, but there was no signal. He was initially suspicious, but believed me. Especially as I told him that Robert had left despite the rain, and even reiterating to him that he could call Robert and ask him if he didn't believe me. I feel so guilty. What do? I want to tell Timothy, but at the same time, I'm scared. He'll leave me like, please, I need some advice. Update. So, for some reason, my post blew up LOL. I didn't expect it to get the kind of attention it did, and initially I just posted to get a few words of advice, but now I have tons of people in my DMs asking for an update on my situation, and let me just tell you, it is not pretty. I finally bowed to the pressure on my conscience and quietly sat Timothy down and told him about what had happened between me and Robert, and he was enraged. He couldn't believe it. He had some choice words for me. He told me he had suspected me, especially since Robert's mom, we all live in the same neighborhood, had told him that Robert hadn't come home that night. He said he had been passing by, and she stopped him and they started chatting. Isn't a surprise, Robert's mom is quite talkative, but also very nice. While he and Robert's mom were chatting, the conversation had drifted to that night, and Robert's mom had told him that Robert hadn't come home that night, and that she tried calling him but there was no service, which contradicts my statement that Robert had left. I tried lying and telling him that Robert might have left and gone somewhere else and not home, but that he didn't spend the night with me, but it was no use. Timothy had seen right through me. Timothy says he's never going to forgive me, as he'll never get over the fact that I cheated on him. He says that the fact that I did it with someone as attractive as Robert has made his self-esteem take a huge dive, and he wants a divorce. I tried convincing him, but nothing worked so safe to say I ruined my marriage. Maybe I shouldn't have just told him, but then if I hadn't, I would have felt guilty till I told him. I don't like lying, as I had parents that lied to me a lot growing up, and it has caused some issues for me. I generally prefer to be truthful whether I know the truth will hurt or not. The lease is in Timothy's name, but I haven't moved out of the apartment yet, as we fear that the sudden change will shock our kids, and we prefer to transition smoothly from living together to not living together. But Timothy barely acknowledges me. Apart from talking about the kids, he generally ignores my existence. He has also told his parents and my parents, who are very disappointed in me. Timothy's parents want him to leave me, and my parents have called multiple times and given me long speeches about how I've destroyed my marriage and about how I was so wrong. We split the money in our joint account, with Timothy taking the larger share since he earns more. He has also taken the savings we had, and even the money his parents gifted us, and I honestly don't think I could fight for that. Either ways, that's everything that has happened in a nutshell. I hope y'all learn a lesson from my unfortunate mistake. I'm still struggling to come to terms with everything, but I know I'll be all right.
Hi guys, I just found out something that's been eating me up for the past 2 days. My wife has been cheating on me. Not with just anyone but our gardener. My wife has the audacity to cheat on me with a man I employed. I've heard many stories like this, but I never believed any of them. I find it very disgusting that a woman would cheat on her own husband. Not to talk of cheating with the gardener. How desperate can some women really be? Do you know the worst part? The gardener is just 24 years old. He's literally 8 years younger than my wife. My name is Steven, and I'm 34 years old. I've been married to my wife, Jessica, who is 32 years old, for over 5 years now. I never expected our marriage to end up in a cheating scandal with a younger man. That's the most despicable act of cheating I've ever heard of. It's more disgusting that I had to see it with my own eyes. The gardener has been working for us for over 2 years now, and I wonder if this cheating scandal has been going on for longer than I even expected. Over a month ago, I noticed that my wife has been involved in a lot of suspicious activities. I'm very attentive, so I decided to take note and make sure I found out what she has been up to. Consequently, in my bid to find out her hidden agendas, I noticed her suspicious close proximity with the gardener. At first, I decided to give them the benefit of doubt, but as time went on, I realized that I'd been the biggest fool in the world. They were playing me right in front of my eyes, and my stupid self was too dumb to understand what had been going on. 1 week ago, I decided to start sneaking into the house when I got back from work. I did not want anyone to notice my arrival, and that was just a plan of mine. All my efforts were not in vain, because I was able to find out all the hidden secrets I didn't know existed. My mother used to tell me that sometimes the more you look, the harder it becomes for you to see. This became a practicality in my marriage because the more things I found out, the harder it became to understand how stupid I'd been. Another saying also states that sometimes it's better not to dig secrets, because what you might find might break all the truths you thought you knew. After 1 week of extensively investigating my wife, I discovered that Jessica and the gardener were involved in a sexual relationship. If you are wondering how I found out, I'll let you know. 2 days ago, I got back from work and sneaked in as usual. But on that particular day, what my eyes saw was the worst discovery I'd ever uncovered in my life. The living room was scattered and untidy. I found my wife's underwear and what I assumed to be the gardener's boxers on the floor. My wife was also nowhere to be found in the house. I had to sneak into the backyard, and that's when I found both of them committing the taboo. I was shocked to have found them in such a compromising position, but my first instinct was to walk away before they found me watching them. This act I'd not one of weakness, but one of dedication and determination. I'm a lawyer, so my first instinct is not just to react. I'm focused on gathering my thoughts before making a move. It will be a pity if I just let them off the hook by making them know I'm aware of the taboo they've been committing. I'd rather take time to plan their unfortunate revenge. The first 24 hours after finding out this despicable truth was very tough. It took a toll on my mind, because I spent hours trying to understand why Jessica stooped so low. But after hours of analyzing everything, I realized that it was not my business to make out excuses for her. I didn't need to find reasons why she decided to cheat on me. What she did and what she's still doing is very wrong, and it's not my concern if she made the poor choices herself. My main focus and the conclusion I came up with is to plan a brutal revenge that will shake her up in such a way that she'll never forget my name in her life. The revenge I've planned out is not just for her. Even the stupid gardener that decided to note the hand that fed him will receive his own due punishment. As much as their betrayal disgusts me, I believe that my wife is the one that deserves most of the revenge. Apart from the employer and employee relationship between me and the gardener does not owe me anything else. My wife, on the other hand, has broken all our wedding vows and promises. I don't give a shit if she fits in hell. One thing I know for sure is that I'll create hell for her right now. My wife is a housewife, and she has been a housewife throughout the 5 years we have spent together. I never really thought I'd come to hate her decision to be a housewife, but now I do. Apart from being a lazy stay-at-home wife, she decided to be a cheater too. I can't shame the shameless, but I can surely destroy her peace. I'm not going to fire the gardener yet. I don't even plan on firing him anytime soon. I want him to keep working for me for as long as possible. He won't even know what hit him by the time I'm done with him. As for Jessica, I'll hit her where it hurts. Right now, as I write this comfortably in my room in my sweatpants, it's 5 p.m. in the evening. Jessica has gone out to buy groceries, but I know what she really went to do. The gardener only comes to work 2 times a week. He comes on Sundays and Thursdays. This insinuates that Jessica doesn't have the opportunity to see her new lover as often as she'd like. This is why Jessica leaves the house for groceries almost every single day. After much research, I discovered that Jessica meets up with the gardener at his house whenever she leaves for groceries. I don't plan on stopping her or trying to get her to end her relationship with the gardener. In fact, all I want right now is for them to keep up with their relationship. I need them to meet up, as much as they want, because that's the only way I'll be able to get my plan in motion. So guys, I have decided to make sure the gardener comes over 4 times in a week. I'll tell him I'll double his pay if he can do that. My motive for this is to be able to give them time to spend together. I know that Jessica would not want to give any hints about their relationship, so she'd try to resist the temptation of being with him frequently. But I know it's only a matter of time before she starts losing her guard. I know she will not be able to resist the temptation, and that is exactly why I'm doing this. One of the reasons I'm taking my time in doing this is because I am focused on making sure that I get out of this marriage without giving a single dime to my wife. I am a lawyer, and I know how divorce settlements work. Our case is even going to be more difficult since she has been a housewife throughout the 5 years of our marriage. The odds are in her favor, and I won't rest till I've turned all those odds around. I've set the first trap, and I can bet with my life that Jessica will fall right into it. I'll tell you all how everything goes in the next update. I have to draft out my plans. I also have to hire someone, a lady to be precise. I am hiring someone to seduce the gardener. Till next time. Update. Hi guys, I'm back again. This time, I have a lot in my hands. Planning your own wife's downfall is the weirdest thing ever. But it can be the most satisfying thing if the woman in question has been cheating on you for a very long time. In my case, it is very satisfying, and I just can't wait till my plan is fully envisioned into what I want it to be. The worst kind of revenge is the one that no one saw coming. The gardener accepted my offer to make him come over 4 times in a week almost immediately. He did not even argue or try to act like he was busy. I don't know if he thinks that I'm a fool just because he's been sleeping with my wife for months or probably years, and I had no idea about it. Apparently, the gardener is not even trying to be subtle in his forbidden acts. There's not enough vegetation, weeds, or even flowers in my house that will warrant him to come over 4 times a week to take care of them. I don't know if he's just being stupid or ignorant. Anyone with a working brain would have discovered that they are being paid double the amount of their wages to do nothing in particular. Talking about his wages, I'm not really paying him double the amount. In fact, I am not even paying him anything. I stopped paying him last week and told him I planned to add everything up and pay him in 2 months' time. I did not expect him to accept the offer I made without a single second of thought. That led me to my next suspicion. There's every possibility that Jessica is stealing from me and using my own money to take care of her going lover. This suspicion has to be true because Jessica is basically jobless. She doesn't work and has no source of income. She lives off of the money I give to her for upkeep and house expenses. I'm definitely sure that she's giving the gardener money. That's the only reasonable reason why a going boy who works as a gardener to feed himself would accept not to be paid for 2 whole months. I promised to add $50 to the money just for his patience. By the time I am done with both of them, not even a penny of my money will be in their fingertips. I don't go to work and work my ass off just to come back to my house and realize that the 2 people that survived off my sweat and hard work decided to betray me. I'm the most despicable way. Don't ever bite the hand that feeds you, especially when you do not even have a source of income to begin with. So guys, after 2 straight weeks of resisting the temptation of seeing her lover at the house frequently, Jessica loosened her guard and was stupid enough to bring the gardener into the house. My house, to be precise. She doesn't own a dollar to her name. I've never been one to shame women who love as housewives, but I don't have a single respect for housewives that decide to cheat on their husbands. It doesn't make sense that they feel comfortable eating a person's food, yet cheating on that person right under their nose. I found it very disrespectful to see that Jessica had the audacity to bring her lover into my house and sleep with him. I anticipated her losing her guard, but I never imagined that she'd stoop that low. Where is the respect? Quite literally, where is the backyard? Ah, yes, the backyard. That's been their secret hideout and zone for the longest time. I discovered that Jessica and the gardener used the backyard as their usual spot before. But just like all cheaters do, Jessica decided to upgrade into a more lavish hideout, my own living room. All these occurrences happened when I was at work. So, how do I know? I secretly hired an installation technician that was recommended to me and asked him to install hidden CCTV cameras all over the house. I don't think I'm invading any freaking privacy in my own house. I have footage of the gardener and Jessica sleeping together in my own living room and even in my own kitchen. I used to wonder why there were so many burnt posts, but now I know. Apparently, after watching a lot of video footage, I discovered that Jessica was used to making out with the gardener while she was busy cooking. My house was literally at risk of blowing up. But I don't care if she gets careless and blows up herself and her lover. If they survive, I'd make sure they buy me another house. If they don't, I should get enough money from their belongings. The purpose of the video footage is to have something to threaten Jessica with. This is a part of my plan just in case she decides to ask for alimony. I swear that I'd rather skin myself alive than give Jessica a single cent from my hard-earned money. There's no chance that I'm doing that. Do you guys remember when I said I was going to hire a lady to seduce the gardener? I already hired someone. Let me tell you this for free. It was not easy getting someone who was willing to do the job. But, as a lawyer, I have friends with connections who know people like that. They usually go undercover to extract vital information, not to seduce men, but I was able to convince one of them. This plan just has to work because the amount of money I'm parting with just so I can pay the lady I hired is just too outrageous to be ignored. I'm betting a lot on the execution of this revenge, and I can only hope that it goes exactly how I've planned it. The purpose of hiring someone to seduce the gardener is simple. I want the gardener to cheat on Jessica. It's like her karma, but in a minimal form. I don't want her to have anyone to have fun with when I'm done with her. Not even her little gardener would be there to receive her. The lady I've hired is a very professional lady. Her aim is to get the job done and get her full pay. I chose her out of the rest because I wanted someone who was ready to do the job with no strings attached. That's very important because sometimes some people get too carried away and they start doing things they're not meant to do. I don't want that to be an occurrence in this situation. The name of the lady I've hired is not going to be revealed because I want to keep her identity private. She's an agent, so her name might be recognized. I don't want to put her at risk, so I refer to her as TT. So guys, kindly take note that TT is the name I'll refer to the lady I hired as. I told the lady everything she asked me to tell her. In order to maintain secrecy and efficiency, she asked for quite a lot of information from me. She asked for the full details and even the schedule of the gardener. It was difficult for me to figure out his life schedule outside of my house, so I had to hire a PI. Yes, guys, these are the extreme measures I had to go through just because I wanted her work to be done efficiently. She needed his schedule so she could make their meeting look natural and unplanned. I don't know whether they're going to go as far as getting intimate, but I really hope they do. I told her that if they ended up getting intimate, I'd need pictures. The pictures do not need to be revealing. Just their faces would do. It's part of the things I'll attach to the divorce papers when I send them to Jessica. The lady I hired has started her work and she told me she'd need time before getting any substantial process. I'm not in a hurry, and I do not plan to rush her. But I did give her a deadline. The 2 months the gardener gave me before I had to pay his wages must not elapse before I'm able to exact the revenge. I don't want to pay that fool a single penny at all, because instead of actually doing some gardening around the house, he spends his time sleeping with my wife shamelessly. I don't need to pay him for doing that. Before I forget, I have something else to tell you guys. When I got free time, I read some of the comments from the last post I made. A lot of you asked me if I have any children with my wife. Well, we do not have any children. Unfortunately, she's had 2 miscarriages during our marriage, and the doctor advised that we stop trying to have a baby as it might pose a risk to her health. Losing our unborn children twice was very hard, and it took a toll on our mental health. We had to go to therapy, and our therapist advised us to listen to the doctor. That was 2 years ago. She had a miscarriage twice in a year. I agreed with the doctor and therapist because I knew it would be hard for us, especially if she lost another baby. We were advised to try surrogacy and explore the chances of having a baby that way. Jessica and I decided to take a break before trying surrogacy since the process was stressful. I told this story because Jessica said something that made me very angry. Just yesterday while we were having dinner. It was burnt as usual, but I didn't complain because I already ate outside before coming home. So Jessica had the audacity to tell me that she was finally ready to try surrogacy. She suggested that the both of us start looking for a good surrogate who can carry our child. Yes, you all read that right. Can you imagine the level of hypocrisy and deceit that resided in Jessica if she had the ability to stand in front of me and request a surrogate despite the fact that she was cheating? Maybe she really thinks I'm a fool who will agree to have a child with a woman who is brutally cheating on me with the freaking gardener. I know she's unaware that I've caught them, but how despicable does a woman have to be if she's ready to blindside her husband into having a child with him when she's sleeping with another man? I know what Jessica's plan is, and that's why I'd rather die than make any of her twisted dreams come true. There's even a very big possibility that she's planning to frame me with the gardener's child. Of course, we're married, and on a normal day, I'd see no reason to question my own child's paternity. Well, I don't have any plans of having a child with a woman that has blindsided me for months. I'm thankful that she told me of her plans to try surrogacy, because that shows that she wants to tie me down in this marriage and get child support if we end up getting a divorce. Now that I know her intentions, that just tells me how fast and smart I need to be. She's already making plans in case I catch her cheating. I'm one step ahead of her, but that could change anytime. If she also decides to carry the pregnancy herself, the divorce process will be longer than anticipated. I need to work fast. So, I'll stop here today, guys. I'm going to spend these next few weeks making sure that I leave no stone unturned. Till next time, update 2. I'm back, guys. It's been 3 weeks and I still can't believe it's been that long. That had to be the most blurred 3 weeks of my life, and I'm not even exaggerating. It was blurry because I spent it doing stuff that an ideal married man should not be doing. But my case is obviously different because I have a wife who is cheating on me with the gardener I employed. So I've been keeping tabs on them to make sure you leave no stone unturned. Trust me, it's hard because sometimes all I want to do is send Jessica out of the house and tell her that I'm aware of all her cheating escapes. Other times I want to fire the gardener because I am sick of seeing that man walking freely around my house like he has every right to do so. It's honestly very nerve-wracking and annoying. But at the end of the day, I'm looking at the brighter picture. In my case, the brighter picture is getting the revenge I surely deserve. So, there is a lot of development. It's only right to let you all know what kind of development I am talking about. The lady I hired, TT, spoke to me about 3 days ago, and she told me that she's been able to get close to the gardener. Apparently, he's just like any other pervert who's only interested in getting into the pants of women. TT said that the gardener told her he's single and is not in a relationship with anyone. Well, that came up as a very big surprise to me, but I'm super glad that the man my wife was comfortably cheating on me with did not think twice before denying her in the worst way possible. All his conversations with TT are with me. TT made sure she recorded everything, and she even took pictures of the both of them kissing each other. Yes, guys, I'm not joking. It happened faster than I imagined it would. I did not expect her to get that close to him easily. I thought the gardener would have a little bit of resistance, but it seems like he's even more eager to get into her pants than she's eager to get information out of him. Lol, I don't even pity Jessica at all because she got exactly what was coming for her. I can't wait to see her face when she realizes that the gardener she happily risked her marriage to have an affair with is denying her like he never knew her. Those pictures, videos, and recordings will be part of her divorce gifts. Instead of an alimony, she'd get a movie of how stupid she had been. While all this was going on during the past 3 weeks, I decided to talk to my friends and colleagues who are also lawyers. The purpose of speaking to them was because I needed a lot of advice on how to divorce Jessica without giving her a dime of my money. It was a lot of work, guys. Like I'd stated earlier, the fact that I'd been a housewife for 5 years made it seem like she sacrificed her professional career for marriage. Before I proceed, I'd like to extensively tell you all that I was not the one that requested Jessica become a housewife. That was all her choice, and she made it on her own. Well, she didn't even have a job before I married her, so I don't see how she gave up anything. My friends and I spent days trying to look for the perfect argument in court in case Jessica decided to fight for alimony, and we came up with something substantial. Even though it was substantial enough, my friends still drafted out a plan for me. I got the divorce papers ready, and part of those papers also stated that Jessica would forfeit the right to ask for alimony. Those papers were given to me separately, and my friends instructed me to make Jessica sign those papers as soon as possible. It's a very hard task because no one would want to sign anything without reading it first. Jessica is not aware that I know of her secret affair yet. If she sees the papers that suggest she'd forfeit her alimony, I'm sure she'll be able to guess what I am up to. I do not want that at all because I don't want her to see me coming. I spent days thinking about what to do, but I came up with a good plan. I've collected the divorce papers, and I plan to make Jessica sign the divorce papers as well as the papers that suggest that she forfeit the alimony. Even though I've thought of this plan already, I know how hard it's going to be to make her actually sign them. I know it will be impossible for her to sign them when she's sober, so I have decided to lace her drink. I know I'll get comments saying that I'll be doing the wrong thing, but it's my only option. Cheating is also wrong, and she did not think twice before cheating on me. I don't see why I have to be the one who is reasonable and fair. There's nothing fair in what Jessica has and is still doing to me. I don't plan on being fair to her at all. I know she likes to drink after every makeout session with the gardener. When they are done with their rubbish in the living room, she gets a drink from my minibar and starts drinking after the gardener leaves. I know this routine thanks to the video footage I have of both of them. The surprising thing is that the gardener still comes to see Jessica like he usually does. He's not acting like he's the same man that's flirting with TT. I still don't understand how their dynamic is. I don't know if TT had slept with him yet or not. It's been 3 days since we last spoke, and she told me things were getting pretty serious between them. I've told her that she doesn't need to get intimate with him, but I don't know if she plans to. That's honestly none of my business at the end of the day. Now back to the matter at hand. I plan on lacing Jessica's drink tomorrow. I had to research the strongest types of stuff that could knock someone out. I just want her to pass out for a while so I can use her thumbprint. If she's able to stay conscious, I can use her signature too. These are the plans I have in place, and I really hope that it works. It just had to work because I have spent a lot of time, money, and effort on this, and I'm betting a lot on it. If it works, I can boldly say that I got the perfect revenge, and Jessica will be served with her karma. There's still a long way to go, but I hope that this process is leading me to the right part. It just had to be a step in the right direction because I am tired of this back and forth process of watching Jessica cheat on me. I can't wait for this process to be over once and for all. The next update will hopefully be the final update. I can only wish that it is. Until next time. Update 3. This is the last update. My wish of this being the last update came to pass, and I am very excited. It's been a very long journey, and I'm really relieved that it's finally coming to an end. The weeks of work and unnecessary money wastage has been worth it, and that's just luck being on my side. This whole thing could have gone in a bad way, and Jessica could have actually won. But I'm thankful that the case is different, and I'm smiling as I write this. Well, I'm not smiling because everything was perfect. I'm smiling because all the wrong things that could have happened did not happen. Well, let's get back to where I stopped in the last update. I told you all how I planned to lace Jessica's drink. I did so, and she fell right into my trap. Thanks to the video footage and studying her exact routine, I was able to efficiently realize that she loved to drink a particular wine I had in my bar. I don't know if the wine is just her way of nullifying the sins she committed by cheating on me. I laced that wine and she took it just like I predicted. Barely 30 minutes after taking the wine, she became unconscious. I sneaked into the house because I'd been outside watching the CCTV footage in my car. I carefully brought out the papers and tried to get her thumbprint. Let me tell you this for free, guys. It was not easy at all. But I did not give up because I was very determined to exact my revenge. I could not make her sign because she was practically knocked out and the signatures would have come out funny and suspicious. After getting everything done, I left the house. When I said I got everything done, I mean she signed both the divorce papers and alimony papers. I signed the papers while I was in the car too, and that was it. When I got back from work in the evening, Jessica was furiously waiting for me. I didn't really expect anything less because I knew she was going to realize that she'd been drugged. I did not worry about her finding out because everything I planned to do was already done. I don't think I can really explain what Jessica looked like when I came back from work that day. I can still vividly remember the anger in her eyes. She looked like a predator looking for its prey, lol. I wanted to laugh immediately, but I held it all in. I just wanted to see what she would say to me. I can assure you guys that she did exactly what I expected. She started throwing things at me and accusing me of several things. If you're wondering why she accused me immediately, I'll tell you why. When a person thumbprints, the mark is obviously left on their fingers, and that was the same case for Jessica. I had something that would have cleaned everything up, but I refused to do that. I wanted her to see the marks on her fingers so she could spend hours trying to figure out what had happened. After minutes of arguing by herself, Jessica calmly asked me what the things on her fingers meant. I didn't bother explaining anything to her. I just threw the photocopy of the divorce agreement and alimony forfeit file to her. I can still remember how shocked and confused she was. She looked like the world had caved in with her right in the middle. I'd always imagined what her face would be like when I told her the truth, but I never imagined that it would be as bad as it was. I enjoyed every moment of watching her eyes widening as she tried to piece the puzzle together. When she finally understood what was going on, she screamed on top of her lungs and called me several names. She looked like a freaking mad woman, and I loved every moment of it. Before that day, I didn't really plan on exchanging words with her, but I lost all of my control. I told her all the demeaning things I imagined her as in my head. I made sure my words made her cry, and that was when I left her crying in the living room. I did not waste any time before going upstairs and throwing her clothes down the stairs. I didn't even spare underwear. I threw them all, and it gave me satisfaction to watch her pack it up shamelessly. Weeks before that day, it killed me to come back home and see Jessica sitting confidently on my bed. It killed me to see her strolling around the house with no guilt at all. The only thing that gave me comfort was the knowledge of the perfect revenge I'd planned out for her. So when I threw all those things at her, I knew that I'd gotten the peace I knew I wanted. Jessica tried to play the victim game. She tried to be me and tell me just how sorry she was, but I didn't listen to any of it. I was not ready to listen to the words of a shameless cheater. Before she left the house that night, I made sure I called TT. She was at the gardener's rented apartment. I told her Jessica might come there, so she should make sure the gardener sent her away. I also told her to introduce herself as the gardener's girlfriend. In addition to that, I told Tina to give Jessica the pictures I'd put together. Those pictures contained images of the gardener and TT cuddled up together. I waited for 2 hours after Jessica left the house with her things before I called TT. She told me that Jessica came to the gardener's apartment like I predicted, but she made him chase her away. TT also said that she was able to give Jessica the pictures. She told me how Jessica almost collapsed and how she broke into tears. I did not care to listen to the rest of the story. TT left the gardener's house the morning after Jessica's visit. Her work was done and she stopped contacting him. That same day after TT left the gardener, I visited him in his apartment. I threatened him with the footage and pictures of him and Jessica and told him I'd release it to his family, friends, and future employers unless he told me what Jessica's bank pin was. Yes, I got to know that Jessica gave him her card to use wherever he liked. The gardener tried resisting at first, but I threatened to make him lose all his future jobs by telling them how he slept with his previous employer's wife. That scared him enough, and he gave me Jessica's card and PIN. All Jessica had left in her account was $1,000. I took it as the minimal compensation for all she took from me. I did not pay the gardener his 2 months' outstanding wages, and he was not stupid enough to ask for it. 2 days after the withdrawal, Jessica bathed into my house with her parents. They tried begging me, but I refused. I told them the marriage was over and that I could not forgive my own wife cheating on me with the gardener. After hours of failed resolution, Jessica got upset and accused me of stealing from her and forcing her to sign the alimony forfeit papers. She said she was going to take me to court, so I showed her all the video footage and pictures of her and the gardener. I threatened to release them and ruin her reputation if she dared resist the divorce. I also warned her to accept the no-settlement divorce conclusion and forfeit the alimony in court. Jessica was not ready to accept my terms, but her parents saw the triggering pictures and told her to agree with the terms. They were not ready to ruin their reputation. Before Jessica left, I also gave her the recordings of the gardener denying her. She got so angry that she tried to take out her anger on me, but her parents dragged her out of the house. I don't care if she gets back with the gardener or not. That's no longer my business. I just made sure that life became hard for both of them. I was able to retrieve 2 months' salary from the gardener, get back $1,000, and have a stress-free divorce with no alimony settlement. It was definitely worth my patience. I'm thankful to you all for your comments and ideas throughout this process. It made me sane for a very long time. Thank you all, but this is where I say goodbye. I'm going back to focusing on my job and getting my life back together. It was indeed a sweet revenge for me, lol. Goodbye.